We were only a few days into our stay in Spain, and then the power went out. Complete blackout. So, at first, since we were on an excursion and we just had come out of the caves, it was bright daylight, we didn't really notice the impact. We thought it was probably just that place. Then we started thinking maybe it's just regional, and by the time we get home, it'll be over. It's not until later we started realizing the full impact. As a matter of fact, this was one of the biggest power outages in Spain ever. It had not only hit Spain, but parts of France, the entire Iberian Peninsula, meaning all of Spain, all of Portugal. And here's the interesting part. We had almost no information. When I say no information, we had the radio in the car, but since we didn't speak the language, it was really hard to find out what exactly was going on. We got bits and pieces trying to translate the Spanish, and then we tried Dutch and English sources, but it was just really small nuggets of information that didn't really give us a full picture. As we were watching the people who were around us, we didn't really see much of a panic. As a matter of fact, I think I can best describe our situation as just waiting for more news, waiting for the power to come back on. Really, it was very interesting to see. So what we noticed is the people around us were really calm. They were sitting on terraces, having their coffees. I guess the coffee machines or some of them still worked. They were laughing, they were eating. Really, nobody was panic or running around. We just noticed that some supermarkets were still open and then the big ones had already closed down. I remember us looking at it and observing the way the Spanish were going about this and thinking about this one word in Spanish, tranquilo. And that actually became the word, but also the pace of the day. We got by. Eventually, because most restaurants were closed, we found one restaurant who had a grill so they could make us some warm food. They even gave us some warm waffles for us to take home for dessert. But when we came home, we realized, the impact was a lot bigger than even we had imagined. No electricity means no refrigerator, no toaster, no microwave, not even hot water in the shower, because that too is powered electrically. Obviously, at some point, phones started falling out and there was no Wi-Fi. No lights in the house, no warm water, etc. I think this is when it really started hitting us. And somehow it felt okay. It felt okay as long as we could adapt. And so we had an interesting conversation with our son about how we take electricity, but also a lot of things around our modern lives for granted, and how quickly you have to adapt. When those things disappear, when it's no longer available, you have to start thinking and acting in a different way. So we waited for the evening to dwindle down. We played cards by the candlelight. There were some candles and some matches in the house, thank goodness. We told each other stories. So I remember my husband telling stories from his childhood, from times and places where resilience was normal, where showing creativity, staying calm, and just kind of going with the flow was really required much more often of you. And what's also interesting is when he said, where not having things or not having access to it temporarily didn't equal failure. And I think that's a lesson that really hit home for my son, but I also thought it was interesting in the light of leadership. So fast forward, we all went to bed, obviously a little earlier because when the light dies down, there's nothing else to do. The next morning, the electricity had come back on, and that started midnight. And that's the reassurance we gave my son as well. Don't worry, by tomorrow, things will most likely be back to normal. And it was really interesting to see how then all of us adapted again real quickly. Immediately, boiling water, flipping lights on, scrolling phones. Where's the charger for this? Where's the charger for that? It happens really quick. And that quick shift says a lot. Now, bringing this to leadership, I think as leaders, we all operate within a certain level of predictability. And it allows us to have control. A lot of management processes, systems, we have them for control. So the question is, what do you do when things go dark? Do you panic? Do you freeze? Which are, as we know, normal reactions to change for some people. But the question is, how quickly are you able to adapt? Sometimes the difference between chaos, which happened in a few places in Spain and other places that were affected. And calm is not the situation, but it's how you deal with it. And to me, that is also leadership. Whatever messages we heard on the radio coming from the Spanish authorities, I remember that they were being brought in a very calm way. And I think that kind of helped people to keep their calm, at least in the areas where we were. So if leadership is also about making this adaptability, this resilience available when it's needed, this is something good to reflect on. What do you rely on when the systems go down? Where do you go, not only in your mind, but also in a practical way when everything goes dark? I'd love to hear what your experiences are, what your answers to this question are. So let me know in the comments. Just to close out this little experience, everything was fine. We enjoyed the rest of our vacation. I was really, really impressed with how little of a disruption ultimately we noticed as we were there staying on vacation. Obviously, that was probably different for the people who actually lived there and who had to survive, go to work, come off work, deal with their families. So we can only imagine the level of insecurity and perhaps panic and chaos that it caused in other places. But we just want to let you know that we're doing fine. This was a really, really interesting, great experience for us because we were not close to home. So there's another thing. When everything is unfamiliar, when you don't speak the language, it's even harder sometimes to navigate sudden changes. But we did fine. I'm glad we enjoyed the rest of our stay. And I really thought this was an interesting leadership lesson to extract from all of this. Again, let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for letting me share this with you.